When the Strait of Hormuz clears and global trade routes stabilize, the international community breathes a collective sigh of relief. But inside India, a quieter, more systemic crisis is taking hold. This chart tracks the monsoon. The baseline shows what we expect, but the current reality is a 42% deficit. This drop leaves cities with no choice but to implement immediate water cuts. The typical response is to treat this data as a fluke. Authorities mask the structural shortage with cyclical labels, blaming a bad season or recurring weather patterns like El Niño. Framing a permanent shortage as a temporary anomaly traps the nation in a loop. We panic during the dry months, but the momentum to actually fix the system disappears as soon as the rains return. The math reveals the real disconnect. India receives a massive 1,800 millimeters of precipitation in a normal year, a staggering volume of water. The breakdown is in the timing. Almost all of that water falls in a 4-month window, yet the demand from citizens and farms runs for all 12. By the dry months, reserves are gone. This is the result: communities struggling to pull the last remnants of water from a parched concrete well in a landscape that has run dry. The suffering here isn't caused by unpredictable weather. It is the result of a failure in basic storage and distribution infrastructure. Shankar Iyer is a political economy analyst. Rather than studying climate as a purely environmental issue, he focuses on how public policy fails to respond to predictable challenges. Iyer argues Indian governance suffers from a specific type of retrograde amnesia. Lessons learned during a crisis are shelved the moment the pressure subsides. He describes a political version of Newton's law. The drive for reform rises only when the pressure of a crisis reaches a breaking point, but the law has a second half. Once the crisis retreats, that drive for resolution evaporates completely. This framework recasts the climate crisis as a sequence of predictable, solvable failures in political incentives. This failure hits the economic foundation. Nearly half the workforce is in agriculture, where shrinking land and climate stress are actively destroying incomes. These struggling farms exist alongside a modern ambition to make India a global hub for AI infrastructure and data centers. This diagram shows the collision. AI and data centers require millions of gallons of water and immense power, resources that are already being depleted on the agricultural side. Treating climate innovation as a luxury will strand India in a low-middle income trap. Resilience must become a non-negotiable productivity strategy. Solving governance amnesia means treating climate adaptation as permanent infrastructure policy. Other nations have already begun the sprint. Paris and Toronto are using district cooling systems. They draw water from natural sources through these massive industrial pipes to cool buildings and data centers at a citywide scale. Morocco, Namibia, and the UAE are securing their water supplies through solar-powered desalination plants, building industrial-scale projects to harvest fresh water from the sea. South Korea and France are capturing the energy of the tides, turning coastal bridges and dams into reliable, renewable power sources. In agriculture, California and France use precision irrigation and drone monitoring to slash water usage and protect crop yields with surgical accuracy. The Netherlands and the UAE guarantee food security through vertical farms, using dense, indoor racks to grow crops in controlled environments. These aren't just ideas. They are a proven basket of solutions that treat resilience as foundational infrastructure. India's geography is perfectly suited for these blueprints. The country holds a massive 11,000-kilometer coastline and receives over 300 days of sunlight annually. Renewable-powered desalination could fuel industrial hubs and supply the massive water needs of urban data centers and AI infrastructure. Iyer suggests repurposing the shadowed, empty concrete spaces under flyovers and metro tracks. These abandoned urban zones could host vertical farms, using hydroponics to produce food where the people actually live. Moving the conversation from doom to delivery requires a commitment to tangible, high-productivity infrastructure like this. India must choose between proactive, infrastructure-led adaptation and total economic abdication.